Jeffrey Epstein is officially dead. Hanged himself in a maximum security cell. Case closed, right? Except many people don't really believe that story anymore, gotta say, because the cameras malfunctioned. The guards, they fell asleep. And the autopsy? Let's just say the fractures in his neck don't exactly match a hanging, but he's the part that actually keeps me very interested in this whole thing. Because while everyone was focused on the girls, the parties, the blackmail, Epstein was quietly flying the world's top physicists, Nobel Prize winners, the guy who made Interstellar's wormholes real, to his private island. Not to party, but to actually talk about gravity, to talk about bending space-time, to talk about whether time can be broken and stepped through. And now, December 2025, another file drop. More names, more blacked out pages, and suddenly it all clicks. What if the real scandal isn't only the sex crimes? What if Epstein was chasing something way bigger? Something that lets you rewrite history. Something that lets you disappear or never die at all. Because the connections we have Isaac Asimov's time loop novels, Nikola Tesla's seized papers, Disney's Secret Dimension Society, Nazi Antarctic bases, and a mind-blowing accurate one is that Baron Trump might actually be a time traveler from the future. Yeah, you heard me. And once you start seeing it, you realize there might be a whole agenda about time travel that's been running in the shadows for decades, if not even way longer. And we're just now starting to wake up to it very, very slowly. So this isn't a conspiracy video. This is the video that makes you question everything. So stay until the end, because what you're about to hear might change how you see the world forever. Right after the intro. Let's go.
Describing an underwater UFO as large as a football field, moving at hundreds of miles per hour underwater.
Have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Aliens exist and President Trump knows about it.
The United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology.
We are not all to be traced back to one blob of germplasm.
And the implant is finally removed.
There's no evidence how the object got inside the body.
Can you comment on the drones?
Our military knows where they took off from. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
So guys, the latest batch of Epstein documents came out just 2 days ago. And, hundreds of pages, more photos, more names, and way too many redacted pages, but who thought that would happen? But buried in there are little reminders of what Epstein called his philanthropy. Because Jeffrey Epstein, he gave millions to Harvard, the MIT, the Santa Fe Institute. Like he didn't just write checks for them, he showed up a lot actually. After his 2008 conviction, he still visited MIT at least 9 times, which is crazy. And he met with well-known professors, emailed them and pushed for bigger donations. One of the events he bankrolled was a 2006 conference called Confronting Gravity. They flew Stephen Hawking, Kip Thorne, Lisa Randall and others to the Virgin Islands. They spent days talking about what gravity really is, whether space-time can be warped, whether time itself can be manipulated. And then they all went to his private island for the weekend and had some fun, I guess. Epstein funneled about $850,000 to the MIT between 2002 and 2017. A lot of it went to the Media Lab, but some of the money went straight to Seth Light, a physicist who specializes in quantum computing. And Light's research includes things like, closed timelike curves, basically mathematical models for time travel that avoid paradoxes. So he's written papers on how quantum effects might let you send information backward in time. Epstein's name appears in the acknowledgements of some of those papers. And in 2019, after the scandal broke, Lloyd said he regretted taking the money.
Oh, I really didn't know he's this type of guy. Oopsies.
But the money had already been spent, so whatever, I guess. So the research had already happened. So Epstein wasn't funding this just for fun. Is at least what I think, because why would you spend so much money for something that sounds like, science fiction to the normal human being hearing something like this? So for me, this is always something that is worth looking into, like especially when rich ass people that we don't really know much about are investing into things nobody really cares about, because if they care, I care. So we can see Epstein had a thing for visionaries, and Nikola Tesla was one of them. When Tesla died in 1943, the US government seized his papers. The man they put in charge of reviewing those papers was John G. Trump, Donald Trump's uncle. And John Trump was an MIT professor too. And he said the papers had nothing of military value. No, of course not. I mean, how could they? There's nothing to see there. Keep walking, sir. Go to the other side.
But a little birdie whispered into my ear that something was taken. Something about free energy, or maybe even stranger technology.
And now look at Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump's estate in Florida. You all know about that. If you look closely at some of the tiles, you see the phrase Plus Ultra carved into them. And Plus Ultra is Latin for further beyond. And it's also the name of the secret organization in Disney's Tomorrowland 2015 movie, where Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison secretly built a utopian society in another dimension. I guess that's just a coincidence, And Elon Musk named his car company after Tesla, that's what we know. He said his favorite author is Isaac Asimov. And in Asimov's novel, The End of Eternity, a group of scientists creates an organization as well outside of time. And they make tiny adjustments to history, to improve humanity's happiness. But those adjustments trap the universe in a single endless loop. And in The End of Eternity, the story ends with a mysterious woman, who destroys the time organization. And when she succeeds, the universe stops being one eternal timeline and it becomes infinite timelines, a multiverse, so to speak. And Tomorrowland has a similar vibe, and Tesla's utopian society exists in a parallel dimension as well, hidden from our world. So two very similar sounding sceneries. Now here's where it gets eerie. Listen, scientists today take the multiverse idea very, very seriously. Kip Thorne, who Epstein flew to his island, helped design the wormholes in the movie Interstellar. Like, he's written about traversable wormholes and time travel and all of that stuff. Another odd and maybe one of the strangest threads in all of this comes from a set of forgotten 19th century children's book written by a lawyer named Ingersoll Lockwood. And these novels follow a young, aristocratic boy named Baron Trump. Spelled with one R though, who lives in a place called Castle Trump. And he's guided by a mentor figure called Don. A wealthy man from Fifth Avenue, New York, dude. Together they embark on wild adventures traveling to Russia to find a mysterious portal that leads to hidden underground worlds filled with strange civilizations, and the books are full of portals, time-bending journeys, and a sense of stepping outside normal reality. So the first book is called Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger from 1889. Dude, followed by Baron Trump's marvelous underground journey in 1893. And then there's Lockwood's later work, 1900, or The Last President, from 1896, a story about a shocking election of a populist outsider from New York that sparks massive chaos and protests in the city, even mentioning Fifth Avenue as a flashpoint. So these books, they sat forgotten for over a century until around 2017, when people started noticing these parallels we can kind of see, like Baron Trump, Donald Trump's youngest son. And I mean, the name is so crazy close, it's almost a joke. And the mentor, Don, sounds like Donald, obviously. And the Fifth Avenue connection lines up with Trump Tower as well. And the political upheaval in the last president, feels like a mirror to the real events happening now. So the conspiracy goes deeper. Some say the Trump family has access to time travel technology, possibly from Nikola Tesla's papers reviewed by Donald Trump's uncle, what I was talking about before. So if those secrets were passed down, maybe the family used them to influence history or even to place Barron Trump in our timeline, Like theories claim Barron himself is a time traveler from the future, sent back to guide events. Others flip it and say Donald is a time traveler using knowledge from the future to win elections. And, so the books become some kind of proof to many people. Like Lockwood somehow glimpsed the future or someone from the future fed him these stories, It's wild, man. It's wild. Full of coincidences, you can say, or not, that feel way too perfect to ignore, I would say. So the name, the mentor, the portals, the election, chaos, all written over 100 years ago. What the heck? So you be the judge. But now, people, we're taking off, we go crazy now. So people, listen. You all know NASA. NASA was founded by people like Wernher von Braun, So the Nazi rocket scientists brought over an Operation Paperclip. And von Braun once predicted that someone like Elon Musk would become Emperor of Mars. And Jack Parsons, one of the founders of JPL, so NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, was a practicing occultist who claimed to have summoned a goddess. Like, is this normal to be a scientist and be like, yeah, I summoned a goddess and it's just what I do, man. It's just a hobby for me. And talking about future Mars projects and stuff like that. Because in Braun's science fiction novel, Mars Project, published in English in 2006 as Project Mars, the original book's from 1948, Braun is talking about a fictional depiction of Martian society and the elected leader of a human or Martian colony. And now listen, it is given the title Elon. Come on, man. The exact passage describes a government led by 10 men with a leader elected by universal suffrage for 5 years and entitled Elon. It's like, well, that's weird. So all of this kind of connects to Epstein funding gravity and time experts, Like, why? Maybe he was looking for a way to step out the timeline. Maybe he thought he could rewrite his own story. I don't know. But now we go even further, man. That's not it. We're gonna throw it all together, man. So we have Miguel Serrano. And Miguel Serrano was a Chilean diplomat and writer who believed the Nazis didn't really lose World War II. He said a group of them escaped to a secret base in Antarctica, built advanced technology with help from ancient Aryan gods and flew machines called Vimanas. Like, he believed they would return one day in a fleet of UFOs to overthrow the new world order as we know it today and establish a Fourth Reich. So after the war, the US military did launch Operation Highjump actually to Antarctica. It was like a huge expedition that some say was about finding exactly that base. So Epstein's gravity conferences included the same kind of physicists who study the math behind warp drives and extra dimensions, So here we are. Like, if there's any truth to the idea that Tesla's papers held forbidden knowledge or that the Nazis took some of it with them, escaped, and since then are researching this technology, then Epstein's funding starts to look like it could be actually some kind of continuation of exactly that kind of technology. And maybe a part in history where we get a small glimpse of what is really going on in our world. Thinking that everything we know might just be a distraction from the real thing, and maybe all of the scandals are just one small part of what we really think is happening. Summoning gods, researching time travel, anti-gravity. What is going on? Epstein funded MIT research in quantum time and gravity. He hosted the world's leading physicists on his island. He had ties to the same circles that obsess over Tesla's lost inventions. So maybe it was all just a rich man's hobby. I mean, who knows? Or maybe he was chasing something that's still hidden from us. Still running, still influencing the world from the shadows. I don't know the answer, man. But once you start following these threads, it's like really hard to stop questioning. Feel me? So what do you think, guys? Please drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you have any further information about that topic, definitely let me know, man. I really want to look into that more. And yeah, man, like and subscribe to the channel, my G's, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm out of here.